We met at the Miami Herald.
Yeah.
We were both reporters.
Yeah, we met about a mile from here. That's 38 years ago. Glad to get that number right. And so our kids both were born in Miami, and then gradually we became vagabonds, traveling from one newspaper to the next. And at one point, Beverly realized, well, we're not very diversified. We're both working for the same company. So she went off and started a whole series of different independent companies, starting with writing about kids on a syndicated column called Child Life. You should probably tell this part.
Well, you know, basically just writing about my life and turning it into syndicated material that could be sold. But we ended up back in Miami. So we were marooned, I like to say, in the winters of Minneapolis for 5 years. And Anders got the opportunity to come and be the executive editor of the Herald. And so we felt we were just coming back home, really. We love Miami. And so we were here again for 5 years. And then we ended up in Washington for the last phase of our careers. And birds were an antidote to the city life as well. So we got a little trailer, and every weekend we would head to either the Eastern Shore or to the Shenandoah Valley mountains around that part. And birds were our real salvation. But then we discovered that birds were in trouble. And being journalists, we started asking questions. What the heck happened? Why wasn't somebody paying attention to this? I mean, a third of our birds are gone. You know, what's up with that, essentially?
I should step back and say the third of the birds being gone was sort of the starting place for our book. We were writing about birds and the research that's behind them for a few years. And in the midst of that, we realized there was this amazing project in the works to try to count the number of birds for the first time. It's not easy to do that because they're always moving, they're migrating. How can you count birds? But they figured out how to use weather radar and bird counts on the ground over time, put it all together with big data, and came up with the realization that we had lost a third of the breeding bird population in the space of less than a single lifetime. And so that was the point at which we said, well, there's probably a book here. That one-third translates into 3 billion birds. And the thing that was so profound about this research was that they also were able to count for the first time the number of birds overall, which was at that point in the 50s, 50 years ago when they first began this deep research, there were about 10 billion birds. So now there's about 7 billion birds. It seems like a lot. There's a tremendous churn every year if you think about the way birds operate. They breed in the spring, and there will be sometimes in a brood 3, 4, 6, 10 birds produced by a single pair. But a lot of those birds succumb to nature, calamity, it's predators, it's a
like one of our
movement.
birds in the book, they call it the potato chip of the prairie because it gets eaten by so many things.
Yeah.
So
in the end, there's about 10 billion adult breeding birds at one point, and that has been reduced by this 3 billion reduction.